Ellen Berkenblit is a painter who lives and works in Brooklyn, New York. Her semi-abstract paintings conjure a private world of fanciful and evolving characters, most often birds, witches, and tigers. She studied painting at the Cooper Union, and her work is in many important museum collections, notably MoCA, Los Angeles, and MoMA, New York. Your painting is sort of a physical act, right? And I think it's almost maybe like if you work not specifically for a deadline of a show or something, you're basically staying in shape. Maybe so much the muscles as the skill, the precision.
My work feels very athletic always to me, especially most of the paintings are so large. I feel like I do have to stay in shape physically to move them around as I do, because I rotate them as I'm working on them.
And imagine you climbing on.
And I climb on
things. Yeah.
Ladders. And I feel like my interests are so narrow in terms of how to spend my day. My biggest need is to go to the studio every day. So I've never had that thing of making work for a show.
When I read descriptions of your work, they describe it a lot for a long time, and then they sort of don't seem to know where else to go with it, in a way, because it is so strikingly formal, I think, and it does seem to be its own little world with its own cast of characters. It feels very kind of insular.
There is a moment where you do have to shut the door of your studio, whether it's wherever that is, and really let that part of your mind, one part shut down, the other open up. I think it's really that simple. But I think that's not a constant, nor should it be, a constant state of psyche. I think
you can't live in that permanently. You have to.
It would be disgusting. I think it would just be so
self-indulgent,
horrible.
or yeah.
And it's crucial to making things, but the other part is as crucial when you're aware and awake and walking down the street and reading the paper.
It's crucial for having like human relationships. You know, we couldn't just live in our own work all the time. Maybe some people do.
But I also feel like there's like a studio without walls concept too, where when I personally am walking down the street, I'm also making up stories in my mind and also seeing different colors side by side for a tenth of a second, and I feel like that all goes into the whatever that's called, you know.
Do you think you think visually or something? I mean, do you actually understand the world through flashes of color and shapes?
I think I see the world in terms of little vignettes and things. So color is part of that vignette, and you know, it's sound, it's everything, smell, and it's physicality.
We're actually afraid maybe to be left with our own minds in a certain way, and I think maybe advertisers and corporations don't want us to be left with our own imaginations, because they want us to need products to.
Yeah, no, right. The imagination is like is the antithesis of product need.
Talk about the ultimate sustainability.
Right. You have it all like right here. You don't need anything.
Right. Your paintings involves a pretty minor cast of characters, repeat performances by certain people who change over time. A tiger, a bird, and a female persona. I don't
think I could reveal too much, because I think they keep changing for me as well. Right. I also think of the lines that I make, and very calligraphic. They're really like drawing letters, starting, which is often a profile, but quite often, especially again with the paintings where there can be more layers, what might start as a tiger might end up as a witch, and what might start as a witch might end up as a car. Actually, I'm doing some trucks and cars right now.
I want to say that, you know, for you, you're sort of creating for yourself a theater where you stage a drama, but they often don't feel completely resolved. Like they feel, and maybe it's like a French movie that doesn't really kind of come to a happy conclusion or any particular conclusion, but somehow that's more satisfying than.
Oh, I'm glad.
Than it would be if it all worked out or it didn't work out, either one. Yeah.
I feel like they are pretty open-ended, and I think it also has to do with the way I work, where there's many going on at once. Any one of those paintings is up for grabs in terms of me going back to it, even though maybe I'll think it's finished for a few months. And I like the idea, and I think of this word a lot, is nonchalant. getting chalant with work to me feels like when everything shuts down.
I never thought of that before. Chalant means hot, right?
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So not hot, it's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, it's cool.
It's the French word for cool, nonchalant.
You know what? Thank you, Kevin. I didn't really
never
put that
thought
whole...
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It's cool.
Yeah. It's a French way of saying cool.
Which is even cooler.
Yeah. Your father was a chemist, but he was actually a really passionate amateur photographer, and I know he took a lot of pictures of you.
And actually our family. He started taking pictures when he was about 12 or so. He grew up in the Bronx. He was an only child. He got a camera. They didn't have money at all, but he found a camera, and then he built a little darkroom in their bathroom. So when we were all growing up as kids, my father put a darkroom in our house.
Which could have been a second bathroom for you all, but...
Absolutely. It was a half bathroom that really was needed. And I feel like that is I'm so like my father in that my way of painting is so diaristic. It's really how one processes their life through feeling materials and making a solid thing.
Wow.
A photograph, a painting. It's like writing a diary. And he would get so mad at me because I would say, I became a painter because of you. And that really would make him mad, or it would make him laugh.
Because it confuses him?
Not at all, but I think he just thought I was saying something to make him feel better about the fact that I chose a profession that's not a profession at all.
Well, one question I wanted to ask you too was, did you feel that painting is less or more relevant now in the world? And I think sometimes painting's like poetry. It feels so archaic. And yet, I feel the whole society really wants to escape into fantasy more and more.
If that's what my paintings do for people, I'm thrilled. I'm so thrilled. If it gives them a moment to pause, then that's what I would love my work to do for people. I have no agenda with my work other than to make people pause for a second.